Anamorphic cinematography has a unique appeal, and in this video I'll break down why it can be a great choice for your filmmaking. But before we dive into the reasons, let's quickly explain what anamorphic actually is and how it works. Anamorphic lenses are specially designed to squeeze a wider field of view onto a camera sensor, which then stretch back out in post-production. This method was originally developed to maximize image area on 35mm film, allowing for a much wider aspect ratio without wasting negative space. When de-squeezed, anamorphic footage gives you that classic widescreen look associated with cinema. Anamorphic lenses also introduce unique characteristics to an image, such as horizontal lens flares, oval-shaped bokeh, and distinctive depth compression that makes backgrounds appear more distant than they actually are. These optical effects contribute to why anamorphic has remained such an important part of cinematic storytelling. Let's get into the reasons why you should consider shooting anamorphic. I know a lot of people make fun of the word cinematic, but in this case it's actually true. Anamorphic lenses were specifically made for film and cinema and are therefore directly associated with the filmmaking process. Some of the greatest films in history were shot in widescreen anamorphic formats, which means using an anamorphic lens immediately evokes that big screen aesthetic. Filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, and Quentin Tarantino have all chosen anamorphic lenses to achieve that expansive, immersive look. If you want your film to have a similar visual quality, anamorphic lenses are a great way to achieve it. Most films today are shot using spherical lenses, which means shooting anamorphic can instantly make your work look different. The oval-shaped bokeh, stretched perspective, and signature lens flares add a distinct style to your footage. If you want to set your work apart visually, anamorphic is a strong tool to achieve that. For indie filmmakers, standing out is crucial. Using an anamorphic lens immediately gives your film a unique identity, making it more memorable to audiences and potential distributors. Whether you're shooting a short film, music video, or feature, an anamorphic look can make it more striking. Digital cameras tend to produce extremely sharp, clean images, which can sometimes look too clinical. Anamorphic lenses are often slightly softer than spherical lenses and have unique optical characteristics that can give your footage a more organic and natural feel. This can help reduce the digital sharpness and make your work look more like traditional film. Additionally, anamorphic lenses often introduce subtle chromatic aberration, vignetting, and edge distortion, imperfections that can add a more filmic texture to an image. Many modern cinematographers intentionally embrace these flaws to achieve a more organic look. If you plan to deliver your film in a 2:9:1 aspect ratio, anamorphic lenses allow you to use more of your sensor's potential. When using a spherical lens on a standard 16:9 sensor, you often have to crop the top and bottom of the image to achieve the widescreen look. With anamorphic, you're squeezing the image instead of cutting it, meaning you retain more information in your frame. This is particularly beneficial for low resolution cameras, as you're utilizing a greater percentage of the sensor's data rather than discarding portions of the image. The result? Sharper footage, better image quality, and improved low light performance. A few years ago, shooting anamorphic was an expensive choice reserved for high-end productions. However, with companies like Blazer and Sirui making affordable anamorphic lenses, it's now more accessible than ever. For example, a Blazer Remus lens costs around $1,000. Not cheap, but far more affordable than traditional anamorphic lenses. In fact, I've been using the Blazer Remus 35mm quite a lot lately. With adapters and more budget-friendly options available, filmmakers who previously couldn't afford anamorphic can now experiment with this unique look. Even rental prices for anamorphic lenses have become more affordable, making it a viable option even for small productions. While anamorphic has many advantages, it's not perfect for every situation. Here are some drawbacks to keep in mind. Anamorphic lenses have a very specific look that might not work for all types of projects. If you're shooting something like an infomercial or corporate video that needs a clean, neutral look, anamorphic might not be the best choice. For projects that require a more sterile or modern aesthetic, such as product shoots, sports broadcasts, or VFX-heavy productions, spherical lenses might be a better fit. Anamorphic's organic distortions and imperfections may not always be ideal. If you need to stabilize your footage in post-production, anamorphic can be more difficult to work with. The natural distortions, such as blur distortion and vignetting, can make it trickier to correct shakes and wobbles without introducing visual artifacts. Additionally, color grading anamorphic footage requires extra attention. Because the image is squeezed, minor color shifts can occur at the edges of the frame, especially when dealing with lower quality anamorphic lenses or adapters. This means additional time in post to get the best results. Even though anamorphic lenses are now more affordable than before, they're still generally more expensive than spherical lenses. If you're on a very tight budget, a high quality spherical lens might give you a better overall value. And while rentals are more accessible, premium anamorphic lenses like Cook or Panavision options still cost significantly more than the spherical counterparts. If you're planning a long shoot, budget constraints might push you towards spherical instead. If your camera has a slow readout speed, anamorphic lenses can make rolling shutter issues even more noticeable. The wider field of view and the unique optics can amplify distortion when panning quickly, making handheld and fast-moving shots more difficult. Some cameras, particularly DSLRs or lower-end mirrorless models, struggle with rolling shutter. If your camera falls into this category, you may need to test an anamorphic lens first to see if the effect is manageable. If you want a cinematic, unique and organic look, anamorphic is a great choice. It also comes with challenges that you need to be aware of. Hopefully, this breakdown has helped you understand the benefits and drawbacks so you can make an informed decision for your next project.